The advice provided in this podcast is general in nature. For your specific situation, you will need to get in contact with your local OT, vehicle modifier or mobility dealer and set yourself up with an assessment or a trial. Trials really do put you in the driver's seat, so get out there and get one going. Before we get started, we just want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors who make this show possible: Mobility Engineering, Driving Well and Williams OT. This show takes time and money to put together, and we are forever grateful for their passion for our industry. Okay, enough of the business. Let's get on to the interview with Jenny and Brad.
G'day and welcome to a special edition of the Drive Able podcast. I'm Brad Williams from Williams OT in South Australia, and right next to me today,
I'm Jenny Griffith from Driving Well Occupational Therapy in Brisbane, and we are in the same state, the same room for the first time for many years.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's wonderful to be able to see her in person and come to you live from the OT Exchange in Perth. We've travelled all the way to the Western Australia for this conference, and we're soaking up the atmosphere and some of the key presentations.
And what we would like to do in the podcast episode today is bring you some of the key highlights that Brad and I have taken away, especially if you're an occupational therapist that is not been able to join the conference, and learn about some of the key learnings that are happening across the profession, across driving as an OT landscape as well.
Yeah, but this is also for people that are not OTs as well, just to show what goes into our profession, so you know where we're coming from when we're doing our OT driver assessments and trying to assist you with your driving goals. But we've got a very special highlight. She's starting to blush. Jenny here, our co-host, well, she was a keynote speaker this morning, and we're going to unpack some of the key takeaways from her talk in case you couldn't be here, but also for the people that want to know a little bit more about what Jenny does. So, Jenny, you're awesome. We'll talk to you about that when we come back.
Okay, you're awesome too.
Driving Well Occupational Therapy loves working with people of all ages and with all kinds of medical conditions to safely give them the opportunity to explore their driving goals.
Hi everyone, and I'm really excited to get into today's interview because we're at the Occupational Therapy Exchange for 2024 live in Perth, WA. It's our national conference for our industry, where innovation meets practice. There's about 800 delegates here in person or joining online. It's the biggest event for occupational therapists. We've had some very inspirational speakers this morning, including Senator Jordan Steele-John, giving us lots of inspiration about the future, some other things as well about the NDIS in the future. That right now, but we're joined as well live here with two of the conveners here for the conference. We'll get you to start by introducing yourself.
Right, thank you so much. Oh, it's a real honour to be here, I think, isn't it, Lisa?
I think it's been a privilege to be asked to convene the conference. I think now that we're here, we're realising just how amazing this space is.
Yeah.
The inspiring energy and just meeting people like you, Jenny, and Brad, like it's been amazing.
It really has. And we were asked to do it about a year ago or just under. Yeah. And at the time we were like, sure, that's great. It's so long away. We'll have plenty of time. And then all of a sudden it was last week and we were like, wow, here it is.
Yeah, too.
Yeah. In saying that, all of the meetings that have happened from that point on that we've been involved in, so much work has gone into the community to curate, select presentations, and it's been such a high level. The caliber of presenters has been amazing.
And across the diverse streams that OT is, like we've had, AI, assistive technology, pediatrics, corrective services. It's been just such a diverse
mental health, pediatrics. I mean, it's just, it goes on and on.
I liked what you said in your opening address, Lisa, about focusing into your stream, but then stepping out of your stream as well. So you can really see some, skill development in stream, but also
zooming out.
See that threat.
I think that's really true because, you get stuck in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And, for our niche area and yours. And then sometimes you listen to another presentation and you think, oh, that's fascinating. I'd kind of forgotten about that a bit. Yeah. And it's really nice to get back into touch with all of those things.
Yeah. And the threads that weave us all together, because certainly when you were speaking to Jen, it's like, oh my goodness, that's something that we could bring into our practice as well.
Because the underlying process is the same, isn't it? No matter what clinical population you're working with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And particularly, I know you're a small business owner, which Kat and I, we started Inside Out about 11 years ago with young kids and had very much that journey.
Maybe
we could become a tribe together, and I think that was just such an amazing thing to do with someone else as well, because it's almost like we had an inbuilt tribe as we kind of started the journey of OT. You're doing it on your own, certainly bounced off each other, and we had each other with that. So to do that, singly is pretty, well, not singly because you had your tribe.
My support, I guess.
But it's a big move. Yeah.
What goes into organising an event like this? Like, how much time and effort has gone into organising a conference for 800 OTs?
I mean, I'm actually oblivious to so much of what's gone on because they've just done it so effortlessly in the background, and we don't even know all of the things that have been happening, really.
And I think that's the power of OT Australia. I think they've got such an amazing team that are doing all this background work for us, and the committee interfacing with that. We've had like regular the Zoom meetings that we've had once a month that kind of keeps us on track and keeps delegating projects and doing stuff in our own time. And I think then it just kind of has always been pulled together.
It has. And the running sheets that we were provided as, chairs of sessions as well as conveners, were just every minute was planned and someone that was responsible for it. I mean, the masterminding behind all of that is next level. And I just, really admire what they've done.
And certainly some of the feedback from the session that I was part of yesterday afternoon was that how they were sequenced, just built on each presentation so beautifully. So sequentially, that it just kind of inspired that kind of
So I was fortunate enough, as you know, to be the recipient of the inaugural Oration Award this year. I think Brad's going to ask me a bit more about that, but
I'll open it up to you as well. You can ask us any question you'd like, any follow-up questions.
Brief that I was given in terms of where that speech sort of ran in the conference, and the things that I was sort of thinking about what I was going to say just fits so nicely with the flow of the whole conference as well, from your address in the morning yesterday through to what Sam was saying and what the other board members were saying, and then flowed on, and then linked into Senator Gordon, who followed me on the stage. I think it just really flowed beautifully.
And that cohesion, I think, like that's just instinct, like it's been instinctual. Like I think that showing that as a collective voice, the profession we are intuitively kind of going in the same path, in that direction. And that's not scripted. That's
we just happen to all be thinking the similar things and presenting on them, and it builds over time. So
and then we have aha moments like continually throughout.
Unreal. It's been I want to touch on Jenny here. You can join in on it as well. We're gonna highlight her a little bit. So Jenny, you've been presented with the inaugural Oration. Is that right? Is that how you say it? Award for this podcast goes out to potential drivers, OTs, professionals. Can you explain vehicle modifiers? Can you explain what you've won?
So the Oration Award, if I remember the brief, the script is for a clinician. So rather than a research and academics, there's a lot of awards in our bigger national conference for researchers and academics. The association was really wanting to recognise a clinician at the ground level that was doing work to innovate and change and make contributions to the occupational therapy practice across Australia that would impact clients and other OTs in the profession. So you had to nominate and put an application in, and that was, that was a brave, bold thing to even consider doing. But I've got some support to sort of put that together and submitted my application, and I believe there were many applications. But I got a very wonderful call from Leo Rawlings as part of the OT board it was just prior to Easter. And she let me know that I was the inaugural recipient. So
wow, it's just today.
and I was sitting
So
on
well
that
deserved.
for a couple of weeks before it was then announced. And I'd had a couple of conversations with Brad in between. I was like, I want to tell you.
Yeah, no, I was kept in the dark, that's for sure. It's probably wise that you kept me in the dark. Yeah, no, not at all. No. For people that don't know, and they really should tune into these, to hear about Jenny's work, you should go and listen. Well, actually, right now, while we're recording this, is episode 85, where we've spoken to Dr. Miriam, yeah, who's your United States colleague, to help you bring some of the driving tools that you've got for kids with autism learning to drive and learning difficulties to learn to drive, and bringing that in and Australianising, just what you report for today, which is very, very exciting. And then we interviewed you in before you were part of the podcast back in episode 78 and 79. So listeners, please do yourself a favor and go back and listen to those episodes. She's inspirational, isn't she?
Amazing.
And I love what you said this morning when you said we need to place ourselves into vulnerability. And from that, what grows and transforms. And that has just been, I think that really kind of resonated with me. Jenny, what you spoke about.
Yeah.
Embrace vulnerability and bravery to share is what I wrote down.
Yeah. They're really take home messages. Yeah. And embracing your fear. Hello, friend. Yeah.
I acknowledge you sit there and that's okay, but I can still go on and do more things with that fear sitting in the back.
Allowed to drive.
There's not allowed to drive.
Correction. Yeah.
We're referencing one of the thought leaders that really helped me grow in my skills. So that's Elizabeth Gilbert. She's the author of Eat, Pray, Love and Think Magic and a whole bunch of other books. And I found so much inspiration from her, and she's actually doing a tour of Australia in early next year, and I'm going to see her and meet her in February.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I want to do a shout out to OT Australia. We're sitting in front of their booth behind us. If you're joining us on the YouTube channel, it's all purple behind us. If you're not, which is the color for OT Australia, they do so much to represent us, don't they? They do an amazing job of promoting our services and represent us really well. They do things like talk to senators, like what we heard this morning, and promote us to the NDIS for doing our job as best as we possibly can. Members, I'm assuming, because of the organisation.
Absolutely.
Do you want to talk about OTA?
I think specifically to our business, we work in the mental health and paediatric space. And in order to be able to provide services to families who may not otherwise be able to afford them, they might access a Medicare referral through a GP or a paediatrician. And that comes under a better access to mental health referral and item number. And as clinicians, we are accredited to that scheme. And not all OTs are, because you require a number of years of experience and hours. And so it's a really highly sort of contained process. However, the OT Association is the body that really holds that and for us. And we support our therapists to become accredited over time and to do their hours, and we support them with their applications. And so just how it directly relates to us, it's a very important function that OT Australia holds. And then they liaise with Medicare and we are then accredited. And we can then provide those services to families, which has a huge effect on people who wouldn't be able to afford it.
And I guess traditionally most people think you go psychology if you need that mental health support. So OT Australians put OT onto that kind of, again, that wider health landscape, saying this is what we do. And the access to OT services has just grown so much as a result.
It really has. Yeah. So that's, one specific example that's very relevant for us, but very important.
Yeah, absolutely. They highlighted it this morning. They're introducing their capability frameworks, and mental health is one of those. Already, have you tapped into those frameworks yourself as an organisation at the moment?
Yeah, I don't think we've actually used their frameworks yet as such.
No.
We use a lot of their CPD and things that are attached in terms of core competencies and training.
Yep.
So we're really excited to learn more about that, to be honest.
Yeah, and the interest groups as well. Jenny and I are both involved heavily in driving interest groups, mental health interest groups. I'm assuming that you're involved in, and pediatric interest groups.
You get your own
national and state
day later in the year.
That's right.
Incredible.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on that they sort of coordinate.
I think a big thing for us too is the leadership program that they launched last year. We were fortunate enough to be one of the inaugural participants, and it was
amazing.
It was amazing, and it's really just such an encouraging way for OTs to step up into these positions that I think traditionally we have been a bit less less able to kind of put ourselves forward. So the kind of program,
that's another stretch and growth.
Being vulnerable and having the courage.
But it was really nice to do this leadership program with OT, because often you go to things and you're the only OT around everybody else, and you sort of have to keep constantly putting your hand up and explaining what you do.
You feel like you're a bit of the broken record and feel again.
Whereas in this forum, we all understand each other's brain, if you like, the way that we're trained to think in lots of situations. And so it was just the perfect environment to stretch yourself, because you didn't have all of that extra stuff you had to do.
As members of OTA and coming to these kind of conferences, what would you say to the OTs that maybe haven't joined OTA or don't come to these kind of conferences? What advice would you give to them? Would you suggest that it's worth it?
I'd say so. Absolutely.
I think it's I think it was Judith, wasn't it, in her presentation yesterday, that talks about being that empty cup. And I think it means that you come to these beautiful collective spaces, and the inspiration that you get from other people and like-minded people and becoming this collective voice. I think that's the power of the association and being a member of the association. I think you don't know what you don't know unless you're part of it as well.
Sure. Tapping on the talk yesterday about the unlearning. It's a very interesting concept about we've only got a certain amount of capacity in our brains, don't we? And we've got to put some things aside and try to unlearn them so we can take on more information and not get stuck in the familiar, because there's always things to learn and lots of inspiration out there, isn't there? And these type of conferences bring us together to learn those things.
They do.
We really want to thank you for your time and donating it on the spot without a script and vulnerable, and put yourself out there.
We're more than happy to. I mean, what you do is amazing, and putting this out for people to listen to, and those that couldn't attend, and it's a fantastic idea. It's so much effort that you go into as well to make it happen. So well done.
Oh, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you so much.
Williams Occupational Therapy focus their attention on helping people with their mobility needs. From driving to wheelchairs, Williams OT provides help to get people mobile.
We've come back now, and we've got some more guests with us here on the Drive Able podcast. Chris, you might know from a previous episode, episode 82, where we spoke to you about the driving landscape here in WA, and also about being a driving instructor and a driver trained OT at the same time. Do yourself a favour, go and listen to that episode. And also Laura, welcome to the Drive Able podcast. First time appearance on the Drive Able podcast, so welcome. Do you want to give us a little bit of a background about where you work and what you do and what brought you to the conference?
Yeah, so my background, I'm a pediatric OT, work in Sydney, and the other hat that I wear is I'm the founder of TheraTrack. So we have a digital platform that helps any allied health professional create and send therapy home programs, I guess, with a twist. So enabling a therapist to take what they've done in their therapy session, send that home to their participant, and remind them at the right time to do the thing that they need to do. It's a fully multidisciplinary app, so OTs, physios, PTs, sites, you name it, can jump on board. And it's also multi-guardian, so you can get the whole support network to use the other side of it. We've also gamified it, so for those who have been at the conference and met Kelly's our koala, or have got their badges. I don't know their first badges, because you get badges when you do your TheraTrack programs. So we've made a little bit of fun for the participants on their side, but the idea is really to get them doing the things that they need to be doing at home, tracking that progress, so the therapist also then has the best information about what to do in the next therapy.
I'm really excited by that, because we were having a chat last night and we were talking about whether we can do that for driving and giving homework for mums and dads to go out and practice and do their homework in between their driving lessons. So watch this space, everybody. We'll see if we can make that happen from the driving OTs with TheraTrack. So I'm really excited to do that. But what have you got out of the conference? That's what we're asking people today. What's been some of your highlights so far?
Connecting with other OTs and other innovative entrepreneurial OTs. I think that's definitely an awesome thing. I love the keynote that was about AI and virtual reality. It's my favorite keynote. I think I've been to 5 conferences now, and the first one that was like the first one off the cab of the rank that was about tech in OT and how that's going to change how we work. And I think for the good, I think the tech needs to be in what we do. Our participants are ready for it. They're using it, they're expecting it, and I think it's nice that there's not nice that there is this conversation about it now. Yeah. So yeah, it's been really fun, and I think this is the most tech I've seen on the exhibition floor ever. Ever. I remember 5 years ago, I think there was like 2 pieces of software, and now it's robots and software and CRMs, and it's epic. It's really cool.
It's really, really good.
Chris, what about you? And you've been one of the conveners as well. We were just talking with Lisa and Kathleen earlier, but you've also been the third of the 3 conveners based here in Perth. What have been the highlights for you?
I'm everything WA, so I love WA, and I love the community that we have here. And so the opportunity for everyone to come to WA, meet and see what we're doing, and then to hear what's happening in the other states and territories is just it's the collaboration, isn't it, and the ability to connect and network with like-minded people. We do so much digitally and online, but then the opportunity to have a couple of wine late in the night with a few friends, but how aligned we are, and we're learning from each other. My favorite part so far would have to be your keynote this morning. So I shout out Jenny. It's so nice to hear other people's journeys, and it's so relatable with everybody else and their journeys, and it's really empowering to hear your journey. This one did amazing.
It was I think there was a few tears at the end, with inspiration about how meaningful it was to them as OTs to hear your journey. It was absolutely fantastic, and one of my key highlights as well. Where to from here? What happens next? Today it's a 2-day conference, but where to from here? Where's the conference next year, Chris? Do you know where it is next year?
Yeah, so it's in South Australia. So we do an alternating roster between.
I knew where it was, everybody. I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, that was a leading question.
It will be our national conference next year. So a bit of a more of an academic flavour to it, and maybe research and evidence base. But really looking forward to going back to South Australia. I remember the last national conference there, and a wine tour of the Adelaide Hills. So yeah, it's a great city to visit.
We add a few extra days.
For people that don't know, that's where I am, and I'm very proud of my state, just like you're proud of WA, and we can't wait to host it next year. So it'll be really, really good.
So you're involved in organising?
I am not organising.
It might be an opportunity for you to put your hands up.
All right.
It's an exciting thing, because we're sitting here in the one room together representing 4 states. South Australia, WA, New South Wales and Queensland. And you don't get that opportunity. Like we're used to connecting on Zoom, and have been for the last many years. And Laura would say, the number of people that she's met for the first time face to face at this conference is just incredible. It's people that you've known for 4 years.
People that you've only known really like a floating head in a Zoom box. And it's nice to finally actually connect with people in real life. That's awesome.
So my question for you, Laura, will we see pitch again in 2 years' time?
Oh, my fingers and toes crossed.
Can we tell our audience about the pitch competition?
The
conference.
Oh my gosh, so it was so exciting. So
because this is Laura's baby.
It was. So last year I went across to the AOTA conference, and
in the States.
In the States, and it was in Kansas, so interesting state that I'd never been to either. And they had a pitch competition over there, which was run by an OT that's also a venture capitalist, which I think is also a really, really cool job. And she recruited lots of startups to pitch their ideas. And we were lucky enough to be selected, and then won the competition, which was
Hey,
really awesome.
congratulations.
Congratulations.
Very, very cool. And very cool to go and see a different market and different way of OT and learn how OT is done. Yes, it's another Western country, but how it's done in a different country.
Yeah.
But
Different
one of
funding schemes and
huge
like barrels
and just different. I mean, one of my aha moments was early intervention in the US is 0 to 3. Early intervention here is like 0 to 9.
Yeah.
It's just a different language and things like that. And that's helped us with TheraTrack to know how to say things and how to market to a different market. But the pitch competition, I was just blown away by the amazing things these OTs were doing. And then came back here and went, hold on a second. There are amazing things that OTs are doing here. Yeah. Why are we not doing this here? And so, jumped on the conference committee. First time doing it, so that was a learning curve for myself, and sort of was a thorn in their side. Went, we need to do a pitch competition. We need to have this happen. And we got 4 amazing companies to get their applications in. We got a few more applications, but it was a competition, so that was pretty good. And amazing judges that really asked the guys some really curricular questions. Asked them business questions and things like that, and it was great.
So an OT Shark Tank for people that want to know. It's really, really good. And it was great to be in that talk or in that session and hear these thought leaders that are out there and really looking to advance the practice. I think that was fantastic. And I look forward to the next one for sure. Very, very exciting. We're also highlighting OTA in this podcast. We're passionate people for OTA. Is there something that you'd like to say about OTA? Do they support you as OTs? Are you passionate about it too?
I'm obviously, again, a leading question, Brad, because I'm obviously very entangled in OT Australia and very passionate about the organisation. It connects us, it's our voice, and we need to. There's never been a more important time to align and work together and collaborate, and then be consistent. We've got we now most of our funding schemes are Commonwealth and national, and so we're impacted across the country, and we can share resources, share ideas, and share experiences through the association, and then even pitch it. I think the conversation continued after pitch it with the association as to we need a program, or we need to now develop some sort of support for OTs in that entrepreneurial space. And innovation space, because it doesn't exist, but there's so much opportunity for OT, and so we need a central point or an organisation that is able to facilitate and resource our 30,000 strong profession.
Fastest growing, I heard this morning as well.
It is the fastest growing allied health profession.
It's very exciting.
The best allied health profession, some would say.
Some would say. A little bit biased maybe, but so we should be too. It is a great profession. Laura, your connections with OTA?
Yeah. Half of my career, I think it was, getting into the OTA has been an awesome thing, getting more involved and understanding how the OTA can help clinicians and seeing them wanted entrepreneurs and innovators, and then in the different spaces. So,
did we have a discussion last night about how you might be able to get more involved with the association?
Yeah, maybe.
Very good. Now we've
being a clinician and small business owner at ground level, when we're seeing all of these issues happen directly with our clients and seeing the impact that what's happening up here at political level and media level, that OTA really are the voice that speaks for our whole profession and are leading the way forward in trying to address some of those.
We need a voice about advocating, but then we also need to show the impact and highlight what we do and what we offer. And so, I think they have a voice in a number of different ways. Which we couldn't achieve at a state territory level or even an individual level.
No, definitely not. The fact that they represent 30,000 odd people is amazing, and we're blessed to have them on our side for moving forward and helping people with disabilities get the most out of their life. Really want to thank you for coming on. Unscripted. off the cuff. Thank you very much for being vulnerable and stepping up and joining us on the podcast.
How could we not after Jenny's speech?
Thanks for having us.
Mobility Engineering is Australia's leading automotive product supplier for disability customers. We have installers all across the country, over 100 of them, and we have the largest range of mobility products for vehicles in the country. Get in touch with Mobility Engineering for any of your driving solutions.
Okay, welcome back again, and we've got a very special guest, not an OT. We've got Karen Tyre. Now, I'm a big fan of Karen. She doesn't know this, but I probably listen to her almost every weekend years on radio. So I know who she is. She has no idea who I am, but we've invited her on to the podcast today because she has...
Because Karen's actually been the wonderful MC of our conference at Occupational Exchange in Perth 2024. So we spotted Karen. I just thought, come up to Karen and say, please, would you like to come on our podcast for a few minutes? Karen, can you tell us about how you've come to be involved?
Yeah, I suppose, Walter, and thank you for tuning into the ABC. We love our sport, and especially this another Olympic and Paralympic year and everything that goes on, football, coast, cricket and so on. But through that time of my career, I've had the enjoyment of doing a lot of MC work, and that can just take you to so many different places. And obviously sport has been a big part of my life, but it's so many other parts of life. And you are one of those, which I've come in to help MC and do things when we're all together in the plenary sessions. And for me, over the years, I've just had a lot of joy, the people you meet, what you hear about, things that you are familiar with, or perhaps you are learning, and you're just helping keep things to time and other things behind the scenes. But this especially I've just really, really enjoyed, and congratulations on your award and your presentation earlier today. And I hope that you felt that with everybody just really combined in the applause. And yeah, it's a really wonderful way to start day two.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she's all shy about it now. Karen, so how did OT Australia approach you? How did you get involved in the first place? So you just invited because you're a Western Australian and we're here in Western Australia, or?
Yes, well, yes. I live here in WA, and that's the thing when you are on the books, I suppose, for different conferences, and maybe also having done other conferences which are a similar type layout, having all the exhibitors here, and which is wonderful, and a place where you're enjoying your lunch and your breaks as well, and can network and meet face to face, which is brilliant. So I think because I've done a range of them, and so I was approached to see if I'd like to, and it's been great.
Done anything with occupational therapy?
No, not with occupational therapy. I've done other health conferences overall where you get, different members of the medical community, and just the people you meet is fantastic. And it's been lovely, to hear so many of the presentations. We had panel discussion of those with a disability as well. And in terms of even connecting that with life and in my sporting fields, just the number of years I've been involved in the joy of covering Paralympics. And that's just, and that in terms of just living with a disability in society, and to hear that panel discussion yesterday was just one of so many things. And I've sat in on some of the breakout sessions as well, which has been great.
We haven't mentioned that one yet. The panel discussion that we had to finish off yesterday was lived experiences. We had four occupational therapists talk about how they can be an occupational therapist while living with a disability. Someone with low vision, someone with ADHD, and two people with wheelchairs. It was great to hear how OT helped them be occupational therapists and really get the most out of their job.
I think that mix of lived experience is fantastic. Yeah, in all areas of life, and with this specific one of yours, I just found that just one of many elements. But those lived experiences, and to convey to others as well, whether they've been here or technology is great, joining in from online from other areas of Australia, and I think even some people from overseas. So just these things that you can pick up, and if that really affects you or you know someone else, to pass that on with. What did you think about Senator Jordan's address? Yes, and again, I think in terms of his position, and I'm sort of a neutral one here because it's not what my life is day in and day out. But just sitting there and the passion that he brought to the stage, his own story. And so, yes, just in terms of the connection with well, I think everyone, if not the majority of everyone in the audience today, and just the way even I thought about him moving from one side of the stage to the other, and just those little things and the way, the gift of being able to connect. So I just thought in terms of this morning's session, just it had a lot of energy and meaning to it. I'm not sure in terms of how it's been absorbed by everybody, but me just sitting there sort of on the peripheral, I suppose. Yeah, I just felt that it had a wonderful and it had very good reception from the crowd.
Yeah.
I think Gerald Sylvia Jordan. He speaks from he having had that lived experience.
But yes,
he talked
lived
about
experience is a huge thing. Yeah.
Being an 8-year-old boy and having a sock cage to put his socks on himself. Being a 15-year-old young man that was able to shower himself without face painting the floor.
Yeah.
You know, just made those really huge differences for him, and he just some crazy he's representing us in the political landscape in the media because we've got that time we're telling them now. So where I think an event like this just really come together and have some empathy coming out to sound out. It happens from most and so this is the great things that we do every day. Do you think to bring you more detail, do you have any suggestions for us, occupational therapists? Like
Great question.
and
Great question.
on how we can really make that representation so that we are not slandered here in the the house of rats.
I think it's it's a challenge and it's a busy landscape, isn't it, in terms of media and getting messages across. I think also just, like we talked about that panel discussion yesterday and sharing stories, and often just thinking for the general community as well, it can be those stories. And it can be just one or two, or you hear something or someone that that can bring that message out from a very personal perspective as well, and then that can be broadened by bringing in other people. So I think sometimes with technology, in terms of what you're doing here with the podcast, and even with your phone and going around and recording something that might be just a couple of minutes and getting that posted on social media, or actually approaching various. You think about what are some of the listenership or the viewership that you look at or listen to. And there's something about approaching those broadcasting outlets and saying, look, we've got a good idea here for this.
You have a story.
And story. Now, you're not going to get yes all the time.
No.
How do you think about that you are a listener or a viewer? And some of these stories, and again, this is the great thing about networking and meeting people face to face from around the country at a national conference, and you just want to see something that just really gets you and makes you remember or whatever. I think, some of those stories, and to get a bit of that story together and sort of put some contacts, and might be a bit of bringing around different media outlets. Do you look at correspondents or journalists that you might think, I like sort of what they seem to have a real interest in these areas. And yet it doesn't always, as I said, a first time that they'll say, it will be a yes. But you sort of think about, the more that you're sort of reading and watching and listening and thinking, what is it about that? I might not, it might not be my field. But it's drawn me into that story. And I just think, there's some wonderful people and stuff. And I just think that panel discussion actually was really good because of what they all spoke. It was just all those areas. And I learned a lot, just sitting there. And I just found those stories were really good. And that was a great example, actually. I think that would spread.
Well, that's probably a great way to finish it off. And I really thank you for joining us on a whim. And thank you very much for coming over. And letting
lunch. Oh,
yeah.
That's just a treat. No, I think the energy is great, and all the best to both of you and with your podcast as well. And congratulations again today.
So much. Thank you.
We just want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors who make this show possible: Mobility Engineering, Driving Well, and Williams OT. This show takes time and money to put together, and we are forever grateful for their passion for our industry.
Okay, welcome back everyone to our Drive Able podcast. We've got our final guest for our episode with us today. We actually are very, very lucky to grab 5 minutes of Sam Hunter's time. Sam is the CEO of Occupational Therapy Australia and is one of the leading forces behind this conference, this event for all occupational therapists across the country. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Brad, for having me.
So we've been talking to our other guests just about, occupational therapy as a profession and what we've been able to get out of the conference over the last 2 days. What have been some of the highlights for you?
Well, as the CEO of Occupational Therapy Australia, just having so many OTs in one place and having such a vibe is always just, it fills you up every single time. So that's been really exciting. I guess that for me also, I have a very deep love and passion for politics. And my original degree at university was at La Trobe, and I did a degree in politics. So I very much think about the politics. The political is the personal is the political, and I don't think that we can separate the two. There we go. Calling people back.
Called into the next talk.
Yeah. So I guess for me to have Senator Jordan Steele John this morning, and just his passion. He's 29 years old.
Oh, no,
he's been in politics for 7 years.
You said he's 29.
I know, and his absolute passion for the disability community and to being a strong advocate, but also just his passion for politics and making sure that he's keeping the bastards honest.
Yeah.
He's really posing some really good questions, and he's using his position in the Senate in a really mindful way to make sure that both the profession and the participants are protected. I guess seeing him get a standing ovation from the OTs today, and his acknowledgement of the amazing work that occupational therapists have delivered to him personally, I think that's been my highlight so far. As well as the oration, Jenny, it actually, as you know, it brought a tear to my eye. It was fantastic. What an incredible oration, and your courage and your leadership and your vulnerability and your authenticity were just really did. I was crying. Beautiful.
Well said. I totally agree. And anyone who knows me, it doesn't take me much to get a tear in my eye either, but I got one as well. No, very, very, very good. And we're so lucky to have you on the podcast, and we thank you for all your knowledge as well. And everybody tune into the podcast because we've got a wealth of knowledge here.
It's a team effort, right? It's a huge, that's what I spoke about today. It's just build your tribe and embrace collaboration. So
where to here for OTA? What's the big next step?
The big next step. There's a couple of big next steps. One of them is that we are looking at constitutional change. So just making sure that the organisation is
only something small
to be fit for purpose for the future, because the fastest growing allied health profession, third largest allied health profession, growing membership, growing opportunities across all of the schemes and systems, both at a state as well as a federal level. So advocacy is always a really big part of the work that we do, and we know that there's all of these changes in the NDIS that are currently facing us. So there's some concern, obviously, around that. There's some fantastic opportunities out of that, though. So, if we can work really well with the states and territories on those opportunities for foundational supports as they start to come into play, but also a big piece of work is framing up what are our big asks, what are we really pushing towards in the May 25 election, because it will happen soon and fast, and the advocacy is already in play now. So behind the scenes, we're already making sure that we're framing up what it is that and who it is we'll be making these asks of, and who will be rallying towards being allies when we do put our playbook, our election playbook to our members and ask them to be advocates as well and allies in what we're pushing for in the 25 election, because we only get one every 4 years. So it's really important that we are united in what we are standing for as a profession.
I'm so glad that we've been able to have you get on here and tell our audience that exact thing, that OTA is going to be saying this is what we are asking of our leaders. And, you know, without that, you know, these concerns that we're seeing in day-to-day practice now aren't actually going to change. They're going to get worse. So,
Exactly.
Yeah. And you talk about, you know, being the fastest growing profession and growing membership as well. We obviously are members of OTA and offering kind of membership, but we know that not all OTs are members. How, you know, would you encourage them to become members, and how can they?
I really do strongly encourage people to become members, because this is a profession that is not widely unionised. So it is the association that speaks on behalf of the members and takes the seat at those tables in discussions and negotiations and in collecting the wisdom and advice from our memberships in order to form our position for the future. So the more members we have, the stronger we are. I mean, I think that that many of you who are long-time members will see the association has grown significantly in the last 5 years. We have not only increased our membership, but we've been able to really expand our policy and advocacy workforce within OTA and our OT workforce. So that's been probably one of the most rewarding things, to see how we can continue to build our capacity and our capability to really amplify our voice, because that's really important. If you think that advocacy doesn't matter, it does, because we all work under a funding scheme or for somebody, and that's what matters. But, you know, we're not a union, obviously, but we do need to be part of those negotiations for pay and for protecting the scope of practice. So I'd say, the protection of the profession is one of the key things that your membership helps pay for. But, you know, some of us are very transactional, so that there's also things like discount on our Aon insurance. If you don't have insurance, have to have insurance. Ring me and I will tell you why, because I'm very passionate about making sure we're protected. We have
the interest groups,
the special interest groups. We have access to a myriad of journals, our very own Australian Occupational Therapy Journal, as well as access to the American, the Canadian, the New Zealand, and the British journals. And also included in your OTA membership is your WFOT membership, and there is just a myriad of resources there. So there's a whole lot of reasons why. There's a whole lot more. Jump on the website, ota.com.au, and you can find out why. But two important things that we have also about to launch, they'll be launched in August this year, is an employee assistance program as a part of your membership, so you can look after your health and well-being, as well as a navigator service, which is if you should find yourself with a problem with our regulator, AHPRA, our team will help you walk through that difficult and often stressful process. So just a couple of other ways that we've found out of our workforce project that we have done in our workforce strategy, ways that we know that we can help better support the workforce in, you know, times where, you know, the cost of living is biting. It is quite stressful. So, yeah, I encourage everyone to join, because obviously we're stronger together, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I can't think of a better person to round off our podcast and ask this final question. We asked, again, we've had lots of guests on this one, and all the other people have got away with not having this, but we're going to ask you to round off our podcast. Have you got a special moment or a special adventure that you've been on in a car that's meaningful for you?
I do. I love driving. I'm a stick girl. I'm a manual car driver. All of my family are. I also love driving fast. I love fast cars. But one of the things I really love the most, I used to have a farm, and there was a track which was about 5 k's up to the house, and I had a Ford Focus. And my son used to say, you're not a rally driver, Mum. But he said, you're a pretty good one for not a rally driver. I took out the bottom of my Focus on one of the ditches. I love driving fast up that hill. So good. So So yeah, I'm a bit of a rev. I'm not a rev head. Like I don't like, Formula One. I'm not that kind of chick, but man, I love driving fast. It's so good.
Oh, well, there you go, people. Thank you very much for your time.
Off-road only.
Off-road only. Okay. All right. Yeah, we better stop before you get a criminal record. Goes out to the public, so let's not get you in trouble. Now, we thank you very much for representing us so well. We're both passionate OTA members and totally believe in it. We encourage everybody to get on board as well. If you're not a member, become a member, because we are united when there's a bigger voice. So get out there, pay your membership, get on board, and thank you very much for putting on something like this. It's been amazing.
Where are we going? Adelaide. In June next year.
Hometown. So, yeah. So, thank you. A car? Yeah. Do you want hand controls? Thanks very much.
Give it a go.
Thanks, Sam.
That's fun.
As we wind up this episode, please remember that the advice provided in this podcast is general in nature. For your specific situation, you will need to get in contact with your local OT, vehicle modifier or mobility dealer and set yourself up with an assessment or trial. Trials really do put you in that driver's seat.
If you like what you've heard, make sure you like, rate and subscribe. It really does make a massive difference. If you or anyone you know would like to share a story about driving with a disability, or you would like to get in contact, find the show notes, or find the resources mentioned in this episode, you can find us on Facebook. Just search @DriveAblePodcast for more information.